Traction. Get a Grip on Your Business by Gino Wickman. Picture this. An entrepreneur loses his footing and tumbles off a cliff's edge. He's falling fast, 1,000 feet above the ground, 1,000 feet below the summit, when his fingers catch hold of a single vine. There he hangs, palms burning, heart hammering against his ribs. Everything feels utterly, devastatingly hopeless. So he does something he's never done before. He looks up at the clouds and decides to pray. "Is anybody up there?" he calls out desperately. Silence stretches out. Then, a voice booms down from the heavens, deep and commanding, "Do you believe?" Tears stream down the entrepreneur's face. "Yes, yes, I believe." "Then let go of the vine," the voice instructs. The entrepreneur pauses. He glances down at the deadly drop below, then back up at the sky and finally responds. "Is there anybody else up there?" Now, as funny as that is, it captures something painfully real. That white-knuckle feeling of being stuck between where you are and where you dream of being, terrified that one wrong move will send everything crashing down. If you've ever tried to build anything meaningful, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Today, we're diving into a book that's become the not-so-secret weapon for hundreds of thousands of business owners who felt just like that guy clinging to the vine. It's called Traction. Get a Grip on Your Business by Gino Wickman. This isn't some dense textbook packed with complicated theories. It's a straightforward, practical system that's helped companies of every size stop spinning their wheels and actually start moving forward. Here's my promise. Whether you're dreaming of launching your own venture, leading a team, or simply trying to get better control of your own projects in life, what you're about to learn will give you a blueprint. By the time we're done, you'll understand the 6 keys to transforming chaos into clarity, and you'll have a roadmap for gaining real, meaningful momentum on what matters most. Sound good? Let's dive in. Most entrepreneurs launch their businesses with fire in their belly. They've got a brilliant idea, unstoppable passion, and sheer willpower that could move mountains. And for a while, that's actually enough. They pull 80-hour weeks, do absolutely everything themselves, and through pure force of will, they build something real. But then, they hit a ceiling. Suddenly, no matter how hard they push, the business won't budge. Worse yet, it feels like the business is now controlling them instead of the other way around. Their employees seem to be on 10 different pages. Profit is never quite where it should be. And every new strategy or trendy management technique only works for about 5 minutes before fading away. They feel exactly like that guy on the vine. Stuck, exhausted, holding on for dear life. This is precisely the problem Gino Wickman set out to solve. After turning around his own family business and working with hundreds of companies, he spotted a pattern. The successful, relatively stress-free businesses weren't run by superhuman geniuses. They were run by regular people who'd mastered a handful of simple, timeless principles. They had a system. Wickman calls this the Entrepreneurial Operating System, or EOS for short. It's built on one elegant idea. To get a grip on your business, you only need to strengthen 6 key components. Get these 6 areas to just 80% strength, and all those frustrations, the lack of control, the people problems, the profit headaches, they just evaporate. So what are these 6 components? Think of them as parts of a wheel. When any part is weak, the whole wheel wobbles. But when all 6 are strong, the wheel spins smoothly and powerfully, building serious momentum. The first, and arguably most important, is vision. Most leaders have a crystal-clear vision in their own heads, but here's where they mess up. They assume everyone else sees it too. The reality? Ask 10 employees about the company vision, and you'll probably get 10 wildly different answers. Some people are rowing left, others rowing right, and a few aren't rowing at all. Vision that isn't shared by everyone isn't a vision, it's a hallucination. To fix this, EOS uses something called the Vision/Traction Organizer, or V/TO. It forces you to extract that vision from your head and put it onto a simple 2-page document by answering 8 critical questions. You start with your core values. Not the nice-sounding words companies stick on walls and forget about. These are the handful of timeless, guiding principles that genuinely define your culture. Who are you, really? When you're clear on your values, you naturally attract people who share them and repel those who don't. Next up is your core focus. This is your why. Why does your organization exist? What's your purpose, your cause, your passion? And what's your niche? What's the one thing you do better than anyone else? There's an old story called Acres of Diamonds, about a farmer who sells his land to search the world for riches. The new owner discovers the farm was covered in diamonds all along. Your core focus is your diamond mine. You've got to find it and stay laser-focused on it, ignoring all the shiny distractions. With that foundation in place, you set a 10-year target, a big, audacious goal that points everyone in the same long-range direction. Then you paint a 3-year picture of what the company will look like and bring it down to a 1-year plan with specific, measurable goals. Finally, you nail down your marketing strategy. This is where you get absolutely clear on your ideal customer. There's an old tale about a mother, her son, and their donkey walking into a village, with the boy riding the donkey. Villagers shame them for making the poor mother walk, so they switch. In the next village, they're criticized for making the young boy walk, so they both climb on. In the third village, they're shamed for overburdening the animal. Finally, desperate to please everyone, they decide to carry the donkey. While crossing a bridge, they stumble, the donkey falls into the river and drowns. The lesson? If you try to please everyone, you're going to lose well, you get it. A clear marketing strategy means knowing exactly who you serve, and just as importantly, who you don't. Once you've answered these questions, you've got a clear, simple vision. The final critical step? Making sure it's shared by all. You've got to communicate it constantly. Wickman says people need to hear a message 7 times before it actually sinks in. All right, so you've got a crystal clear vision. Everyone knows where the ship is heading. Now you need the right crew. This brings us to the second key component, people. This is where one of business's most famous mantras comes from. You've got to get the right people in the right seats. Sounds simple, right? But what does that actually mean? Wickman gives us a beautifully clear definition. Right people are the ones who share your core values. They just fit. They thrive in your culture. You actually enjoy being around them. To figure this out, you use something called the People Analyzer. You list your core values across the top and rate each person on whether they exhibit that value most of the time, some of the time, or rarely. It strips away all the emotion and gives you a black and white picture of who the right people truly are. But that's only half the battle. You can have the right person, but if they're in the wrong job, they'll struggle, and so will the company. You also need them in the right seat. A right seat means someone is working in a role that aligns with their natural talents. They're operating in what Wickman calls their unique ability. It's the work they're both passionate about and brilliant at. To ensure you have the right seats, you first have to design the right structure. Not a structure built around the people you currently have, but the structure your business needs to reach the next level. This is done with the accountability chart. It's not your typical organizational chart. Instead of just listing titles, it defines the 5 major roles and responsibilities for each seat in the company. And here's the golden rule. Every seat can only have one owner. When 2 people are accountable, nobody is accountable. When creating this chart, something fascinating often emerges. Most entrepreneurial companies have 2 key roles at the top, the visionary and the integrator. The visionary is the founder, the big idea person. They've got 10 new ideas every week. 9 might be terrible, but that one brilliant idea is what propels the company forward. They're amazing with big relationships and creative problem solving, but they absolutely hate day-to-day details. They live in the future. The integrator, on the other hand, loves running the day-to-day operations. They're execution masters. They manage projects, hold people accountable, and harmoniously integrate all the moving parts. They're the glue holding everything together. They live in the present. When a visionary and an integrator respect each other's roles and stay in their lanes, it's pure magic. But when they're fighting for control or trying to do each other's jobs, total chaos. The accountability chart makes these roles crystal clear. So once you've got the right structure with the right seats, how do you know if someone actually belongs in a particular seat? You use a simple filter called GWC. The person has to get it, want it, and have the capacity to do it. Get it means they truly understand the role, the culture, and what's expected. Want it means they genuinely desire the job and are motivated to excel at it. Capacity means they have the mental, physical, and emotional ability to succeed. It has to be a yes on all 3. A no on any one means it's the wrong seat. With your vision and people components strong, you've got a clear map and a great crew. But how do you know if you're actually on track? This leads to the third component, data. Most entrepreneurs run their businesses on gut feelings, opinions, and ego. They walk around the office, chat with a few people, and try to get a pulse on how things are going. It's like trying to fly a plane through thick fog with no instruments. Wickman argues that the best leaders manage by a handful of objective numbers. The key tool here is the scorecard. This isn't some complex financial statement you get a month after everything's already happened. A scorecard is a simple weekly report of 5 to 15 numbers that gives you an absolute pulse on the business. These are activity-based numbers, leading indicators that predict future results. For example, instead of just looking at last month's sales, you track the number of sales calls made this week. You know that a certain number of calls leads to a certain number of meetings, which leads to a certain number of sales. By tracking the activity at the beginning of the pipeline, you can predict results at the end. When you manage by a scorecard, you take emotion completely out of it. The numbers are either on track or they're not. If they're not, you know you've got a problem that needs solving. This idea cascades through the entire organization until you reach a point where everyone has a number. Even the receptionist can have one. Like, answer the phone by the second ring. When everyone knows the one key metric they're responsible for, it creates incredible clarity and accountability. Charles Schwab, the great industrialist, once visited a steel mill where production was lagging. He asked a day shift worker how many batches of steel they'd made. 6, came the reply. Schwab took a piece of chalk and wrote a big 6 on the factory floor. When the night shift arrived, they saw the 6 and asked what it meant. The next morning, the 6 had been erased and replaced with a giant 7. The day shift saw it and were determined to show them up. That night, they left behind a massive 10. Soon, that mill was outproducing every other mill in the company. That's the power of giving people a number. It creates clarity, healthy competition, and real results. So with a clear vision, the right people, and objective data, your organization becomes incredibly transparent. There's nowhere to hide. And this transparency naturally reveals the obstacles holding you back. This brings us to the fourth component: issues. Your success as an organization is directly proportional to your ability to solve problems. Successful companies don't have fewer problems. They're just way better at solving them. Most leadership teams spend meetings talking in circles. They discuss the same problems over and over, but rarely solve anything for good. Wickman says there are two simple disciplines to fix this: the issues list and the issues solving track. Step 1 is creating an open, honest culture where people feel safe identifying real problems without fear. You keep a running list of all the company's issues, big and small. This gets them out of your head and into one place. Then, in your weekly meetings, you use the Issues Solving Track, or IDS. It's a 3-step process: identify, discuss, solve. First, you identify the root cause. The stated problem is rarely the real problem. You've got to dig down a few layers. For example, the issue might be customers are complaining about late deliveries, but as you dig, you realize the problem isn't the delivery drivers. It's that the warehouse manager, John, is overwhelmed. But is that the real issue? You dig deeper and realize John simply doesn't have the capacity for the job. He's in the wrong seat. That's the real issue. Once the real issue is identified, you discuss it. Everyone gets to say everything they need to say, but they only say it once. More than once is just politicking. You fight for what's best for the company, not your own department. Finally, you solve it. You reach a conclusion that becomes a concrete action item for someone to complete. In John's case, the solution might be moving him to a different seat where he can thrive, and finding someone new for the warehouse manager role. It's less important what you decide than that you decide. More is lost by indecision than by wrong decisions. By mastering IDS, your team becomes a powerful problem-solving machine. Now you've got a clear vision, the right people, objective data, and a discipline for solving issues. But how do you ensure you're delivering your product or service consistently and efficiently every single time? That's the fifth component: process. Your processes are your way of doing business. This is often the most neglected component, but it's the secret ingredient to creating a business that's scalable, efficient, and profitable. You can't reach the next level by keeping all your processes in your head and just winging it. Wickman says you've got to document your handful of core processes. This isn't about creating a 500-page manual nobody will ever read. It's about following the 20-80 rule. Document the 20% of steps that produce 80% of the results. You identify your major processes: your HR process, your marketing process, your sales process, your operations process. Then, for each one, you document the major steps with a few bullet points under each. When you do this, you'll uncover all sorts of inefficiencies, redundant steps, or things people are doing just because we've always done it that way. It's like the story of the family that always cut the end off the ham before cooking it. When someone finally asked the grandmother why, she replied, "Because my pan was too small." By documenting and simplifying your processes, you create your company's unique way. Once it's documented, the final step is ensuring it's followed by all. This creates consistency, reduces errors, and makes it easier for managers to manage. It turns your business into a well-oiled machine that can run without you. This brings us to the final and most crucial component. You can have the best vision, people, data, issue solving, and processes in the world, but if you don't execute, it's all worthless. The sixth component is traction. Wickman has a great line: Vision without traction is merely hallucination. Traction is where the rubber meets the road. It's about bringing discipline and accountability to the organization. He says there are two disciplines required to gain traction: rocks and the meeting pulse. First, rocks. In business, it's ridiculously easy to get overwhelmed by the mountain of things that need doing. To combat this, you create a 90-day world. Every 90 days, the leadership team decides on the 3 to 7 most important priorities for the company for the next quarter. These are your rocks. The idea comes from a famous analogy. Imagine you have a large glass cylinder, and next to it you've got big rocks, some gravel, some sand, and a glass of water. The cylinder is your time. If you pour in the water, sand, and gravel first, the big rocks won't fit. But if you put the big rocks, your highest priorities, in first, the gravel, sand, and water will fill in all the space around them. Your rocks are the most important things you must accomplish to stay on track for your one-year plan. Once company rocks are set, each person on the leadership team sets their own 3 to 7 individual rocks. This creates incredible focus and alignment throughout the organization. The second part of gaining traction is the meeting pulse. Well-run meetings are the heartbeat of a healthy company. EOS implements a simple, consistent meeting structure. The most important is the weekly Level 10 meeting. It's a 90-minute meeting with the same agenda, on the same day at the same time every single week. The agenda is simple and powerful. You start with a quick check-in, then review your scorecard numbers and your rocks to see if everything's on track. Anything that's off track gets dropped down to an issues list. After a quick review of headlines and to-do items from last week, you spend a full 60 minutes just solving problems using the IDS method. This simple, disciplined meeting pulse keeps everyone in sync, holds people accountable, and ensures you're constantly solving the issues holding you back. And that's the essence of the Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's a journey of strengthening these 6 key components: vision, people, data, issues, process, and traction. It's not a quick fix or a magic bullet. It's a way of life for a business. It's a simple system that, when you commit to it, allows you to finally get a grip on your business and get everything you want from it. When you step back and look at the Entrepreneurial Operating System, you realize its genius isn't in any single tool, but in how all the pieces fit together. It's a complete, holistic system. Each component reinforces the others, creating a powerful flywheel of progress. A clear vision makes it easier to find the right people. The right people make it easier to hit your data points. Good data makes it easier to spot the real issues. A discipline for solving issues makes it easier to refine your processes. And strong processes make it possible to gain real traction. It all just clicks. What I find most powerful about this book, especially if you're just starting out, is that these principles aren't just for running a multi-million-dollar company. They're principles for running anything effectively. Think about a big school project with a team. What's the first thing you need? A clear vision. Everyone needs to agree on what an A+ looks like and what the final project should be. That's your VTO. Next, you need the right people in the right seats. Is the person who loves research doing the research? Is the person who's a great speaker doing the presentation? That's GWC. How will you track progress? That's your data. Maybe you've got a weekly scorecard with metrics like % of research complete or number of slides finished. What happens when someone isn't pulling their weight or you disagree on direction? You'll have issues. You need a way to IDS them, to identify the real problem, discuss it openly, and solve it so you can move forward. What's your process for working together? Who does what, and by when? How do you combine your work? And finally, what's your traction plan? What are the 3 biggest rocks you need to accomplish this week to stay on track? Will you have a quick, weekly, level 10 inches check-in to make sure it's all happening? See, it's a universal system for turning chaos into order and getting things done. The other beautiful lesson here is about the journey itself. Near the end of the book, Gino Wickman tells the story of the road to Hana in Maui. It's a long, winding road with breathtaking waterfalls and incredible views. The town of Hana itself, at the end of the road, is tiny and unremarkable. People who race to the end, expecting some grand destination, are often disappointed. They missed the point. The beauty was in the journey, not the destination. Building a business, leading a team, or even building your own life is the same. The goal isn't just arriving at some far-off destination called success. The joy and meaning come from the process, from solving problems, from working with great people, from seeing yourself improve a little bit every day. It's about the journey. That was a summary of Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business by Gino Wickman. We've explored the core ideas today, but I'll be honest with you. A summary is like looking at a picture of a great meal. You can see what's in it, but you can't taste it. The real flavor, the real impact, comes from reading the book yourself. It's in the quiet moments when a particular story or simple phrase connects with a problem you're facing in your own life. This summary is designed to give you a map of the territory. If anything we've talked about today has sparked your curiosity or made you think, I need that, then I encourage you to pick up a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you approach your work, your goals, and your life. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please take a moment to click that subscribe button. It lets me know we're on the right path together. Each week, we explore another life-changing book from the Billionaire's Bookshelf, and I'd be honored to have you join us for the next one. Let's keep growing together.